everyone. Welcome back to Hospitality Today Live. I'm Deborah Gardner, your host, where we have amazing guests that really enjoy sharing their real life topics, their perspectives, opinions, stories, and lessons, and so much more. And we are so excited for you to be here today because this is going to be an epic show. Why? Well, because we have the founder and CEO of Smart Meetings, Marin Bright, and she is here today with us. And we are so honored as well because she's not only a brilliant and talented woman, she's also the classiest businesswoman that we know. And she's an icon in the industry as well, talking about somebody that works really, really hard and has a wonderful, wonderful staff at Smart Meetings. Anyway, Marin's going to talk about smart women in leadership. She's going to talk about how women what are they doing in the hospitality industry right now and how are they doing? And she also has some advice for those women that wanted to advance in their careers and themselves quickly. So don't go far. We'll be right back. .com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to introduce to you the fabulous Marin Bright. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Deborah. I don't know if my head's going to through the door after that. That was very kind of you. Very, very generous. And
well, we're just delighted for you to be here because I have to tell you, you are one of my favorite people in the hospitality industry. And I always look up to you because you have made it. You have done such a fabulous job as a businesswoman in the hospitality industry. And I can't imagine anyone not wanting to watch this show to hear what you have to say. And I think where we need to start out is tell us a little bit about your background.
Oh, my background. Well, I started in the hotel industry. My sister, after I have 2 degrees, psychology and communications, which actually kind of led me into the publishing side. But I started in hotels. My sister said, you're really good at lunch. And I thought, that really is my specialty. So, and I loved it. I love everything about hotels. I've always loved hotels. I go to hotels on tours. I go there on vacation. I love the hospitality industry. I love to serve people. I always have. What's in my DNA. And then when the opportunity after, it seems to me during an upset, I always transition. So if I go back to like the storm and I went into the earthquake in San Francisco, which took me out of hotels into publishing and went through Desert Storm. And then after 9/11, I launched my own. I see, this industry as it's so much a part of my blood that I always want to do something that's going to accelerate it. It's going to put it back on the rails. There's been a number of incidences that have derailed us, that have been out of our control. Of course, this most recent pandemic being the worst that I've ever seen. But for me, it's a time to pull up your bootstraps and get going. So I love it. And I've always been in the industry from being on the hotel side to the publishing side and starting lots of different magazines and being with lots of different magazines, and always been on the hospitality as my specialty, the passion.
Well, totally shows. It definitely does. And I've had the pleasure of even presenting at your conferences a couple of times. Yes, and I even have a surprise. I found our picture.
Oh, look at us. Yeah. Look at our hair short.
Look at that. When we were in LA together.
That's right. We were at the Marriott and the Ritz-Carlton there.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
A lot of fun. And I also have to share.
Edison.
Yeah, and I have to share with our viewers about this. How
Oh,
lucky was
yes, and you
I?
are a smart woman yourself,
Yes,
very much so,
in
very well observed.
2017.
Yes, that is something that I started years ago, and it's something I've always felt like women needed to be recognized. I'm glad you love the statue. It took a
Oh,
lot of time and a lot of looking at different that looked feminine and looked regal, and you
yes.
display it with pride because you've earned it, girl.
Well, I am very, very proud of it. And it sits right here on my desk for me to
Oh, I
showcase it to anyone. Oh, yeah, but it's been there
love
since
that. Love
2017. I just love it. And I just love Smart Meetings and you. And I'm just, again, so thrilled to know about your background because it makes sense of why hospitality is the love of your life, because
right.
you have lived it. You've got the experience behind it. It's very, very obvious. And today, since we're going to be talking about women, there's been some stats about women in business. And I know we're going to have some questions and comments coming through, but it turns out, according to this year so far, it shows that 47% of women have started new businesses this year compared to 44% of men. And 62% of those women are between the ages of 40 and 59 years of age. Women own 12.3 million businesses in the United States alone, and more than 9 million people are employed by women-owned businesses and companies. And so women are out there making things happen,
I love
and
it.
yet, yeah, and yet the hospitality industry is where we want to focus on, because according to the Castrol Project report, hospitality has one of the highest numbers of women employment, 77%, compared to all other industries, with women making 70% of the global workforce. So my question for you is, what is hospitality leadership, and why is it important to have women leaders in hospitality?
Absolutely. Those numbers are great to hear that women are starting their own. They're breaking out. They're using this time as an opportunity. I totally understand that. And yet, in our industry, as being the most female dominated, it's always been a wonder to me why there aren't more women at the top. And I think that that's something that we really need to take a look at. I remember one time I was in a press room with a organization, and they were on the search foundation for a new president, and they were interviewing kind of off on the side. And as I got up and left, I said to them, I sure hope you're picking a woman. I sure hope you're interviewing a lot of women. And this was years ago. And, darn it, they didn't. It was a man. And I was very disappointed with that. And I think that women, we need to own our power. I'm a big believer. I went to an all women's college. I have a mother who was very proactive in back in the day when it mattered, ERA. Probably a lot of people don't know what it took for women to get where they are. When I started in the industry, there were no women in the industry, let alone, or on top, I should say, there were in the industry, no women general managers, and there's still not a lot, not very many leading CVBs, still not a lot. And certainly no women, or very few women publishers in my industry that I'm in. And so it's challenging to find a mentor that you can look up to and emulate, which is very important. Who I think is key is to not be a mini man, but to bring your femininity and your style and your power in a feminine way to lead. And it's not always easy. I remember when I was leading another company, I had a man who was my right arm. And when I was challenged, and I was challenged a lot being a woman at the top, he used to always say, oh my goodness, we would never be talking about this if you were a man. This would never be coming up if you were a man. So I do believe that women need to get out there and not be sensitive. You will take There will be those who want to shoot at you. I think everybody in a leadership position has that kind of challenge. I think for women, though, we need to perhaps be a little bit less sensitive, get a little thicker skin, and take the helm and know that we can do it, and have the confidence to get out there and lead. It's needed, it's time, and it certainly is something that I think a lot of women are ready for.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And thank you for sharing that, because hearing it from somebody at your level as a leader, the smart woman, it's good to hear what you're saying and the experiences that you've gone through as well. And it seems like it's just never ending. And so yet at the same time, I know we as women should take some responsibility to help us advance and grow ourselves as well. I know that growing up, I was always involved in this nice girl syndrome. And because I always felt like I needed, everybody to like me,
Right.
or I always had to ask for permission. And as I'm learning, as I get older and learning and hanging on to my mentors as well, I'm finding out, wow, you know what? There is some power there that women can take back and utilize if we just can build our confidence, because women develop that destructive set of behaviors early on. So I think we need to stop that, especially when we're mentoring young girls.
Yes, wanting to be a nice girl, wanting all of that is huge. We had one of our VIP summits yesterday for smart women, and it was all about negotiating. Women need to get their voice, be able to ask for things, not apologize for being strong. I grew up, and my mother spent lots of time at the school where the principal would say, "We expect this kind of behavior from the boys, but not from the girls." So I always had that tomboy. I always was outspoken. And, I see that as perhaps been something in my DNA that has helped me. But, nobody, men included, nobody wants to be unpopular, but women, we take it to our identities, and we think that there's something wrong with us if people challenge us, or we need to get over that. We need to get over that and own our power, and to be out there and to say, hey, this is what's what, and you can do it in a way that doesn't have to be confrontational. It doesn't, you can disagree and not be disagreeable. And it's just a female syndrome that it's time to leave behind.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if anybody can, hear this loud and clear, that right now what you're saying and sharing with our viewers is gives them permission to do that. So
absolutely, go for it. That's right. Don't worry about what they say. By the way, half the people aren't going to like you anyway, so it doesn't matter. And I've spent, I'm human too. I have that side. I think that some of the slack and some of the criticism that I've taken running my business from staff, from people in the industry, is a lot motivated because I'm female and because I'm in a powerful position. And when you're at the top, you get aimed at. And I think as a woman, you get even more aimed at. You'll see it on social media with celebrities, same thing. So it's one of those things that you need to be true to yourself and have your own compass, and not look for other people's approval to know that you're okay. And that's hard. That's hard when you're human. And that's not, I think, easy. It's somehow, though, I do think that men tend to not have that need quite as much. So we need to get over that need too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've got some of your fans here with some comments and some questions. The first one I want to pull through here is from Randall. He says, do any companies provide opportunities for women that's low-level positions to get a college education in hospitality management?
I think there are some, absolutely. And I'm sorry I can't name them, but I'm sure that, we used to have, even in our small company, an opportunity, we used to call it self-betterment, where we would give people a certain amount to move forward. But I think that's a really good question, and one that you should pursue. I don't have the exact answer for that, but I'm sure it exists. And there's also great educational, like at ELI, Event Leadership Institute, great education at MPI, great San Diego State. Carl is doing a great job. He's got scholarships, internships. San Diego State, start there, Randall, start there.
Yeah, and I think we're going to talk about your conference or your summit coming up in Las Vegas. That's a great educational place for women to really learn about it. And we're going to talk about that. So let's not forget that. But we do have another question here from JT. Could including women in the executive ranks help retain talent when finding, employees in this industry? Is it so difficult?
I think that, I don't have a gender bias one way or the other, but I certainly think that when a woman is qualified, that would be a huge consideration. I think having them in executive ranks, for me personally, I enjoy working with men and women. Women are great because we often share a lot of things in common, and I think that they make great managers. Are natural. I hate to use these kind of stereotypes, though, towards understanding and empathy, but absolutely, I think women, promoting them, moving them up, but everybody has to earn it. Doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. So,
good point. Very good point. Very good point. And Karen May definitely agrees. And of course, she believes you are an amazing woman. Ever, as a matter of fact. So we love Karen May for being here with us too. She's a dynamite lady as well.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, she's definitely sweet, definitely. And so saying this, what do you think, and I know you touched on this a little bit, but where do you think how are the women doing right now in the hospitality industry?
The pandemic has actually put women back. I think with kids homeschooling, I think with childcare being harder to get, a lot more women have opted out of employment than men. On the upside, working from home has actually been an advantage to many women. I think having children home, though, has made that a little bit more challenging. I do think this next generation is much more. I have a son, and he expects it to be equal for men, equal for women. That's what I hear coming along. Of course, when I ask him to hold the door, he tells me that it's equal, which I'm not crazy about that. But, I would like to see women not be opting out. I mean, I think that that's not necessarily the direction we want to be going. We've made great strides. The word lately about Roe versus Wade is not a direction we want to be going. So, I think that flexibility and women being able to raise children and work, there are, huge opportunities for women in that. So I'm hoping, the hospitality industry, and I see this as a challenge because it's 24/7, hotels are open. And, there's been a lot of strides. A lot of people can work from home in sales and different management positions, although you need to be on site. I personally, this is a catch-22. I learned so much from being on site and watching people, watching women excel, watching men excel, watching them interact, that I think that if I was young and working from home, would have been a huge detriment to my opportunity to grow and my opportunity professionally to have a mentorship. So it's a real catch-22, but I think some flexibility in there that allows people to work at the office and allows them to go home, and certainly give women the opportunity to make equal pay. That's gotta be key. It just, I
I
can't say
agree.
enough about that. It's not even in I've run my own company for over 20 years, and it's never been a consideration, male versus female,
Right.
and it shouldn't be.
Right, right. That's good. That's good to hear. And I think what it comes down to for women is not to so much focus on the career and the positions, even though they have goals, positions or roles they want. But it seems as though it starts with them first. It starts within you. And if you have, if you can just invest in yourself, I believe the roles and the positions will come naturally.
Oh, I do too. I do too.
So for example, your conferences, like you said, you've got something on negotiating and all these different topics and skills that are needed to become a leader. I really believe focusing more on you, investing in you before your career, it's all going to come to fruition by itself. So what kind of advice would you give to women? Let's say the young, the newly experienced in the hospitality industry and the experience. What kind of advice would you have for those two sets of women?
I'm a big believer in jump and the net will appear. I always have lived that way, and that has been my experience. When I started events, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I did them in my own backyard, Cavallo Point, because that way I knew I could go back and forth, and if I forgot stuff, it was easy. And I made a checklist like any planner. I was writing about it, but I'd never done it. And I didn't have a meeting planner. My assistant at the time jumped in and I did everything through a backwards, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. What do we need? What do we need? And it turned out to be hugely successful. Here I am 10, 11 years later. We were the first to do the hosted buyer, and I had no idea what I was doing. So fake it till you make it, girl. Fake it till you make it. Nobody knows. And act like you know exactly what you're doing, even when you don't, because nobody knows.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think they have to know everything before they start, and that's not the case.
No.
I have just jumped in when I started my magazine. Again, I'd run a magazine and started another magazine for another company and had managed people and had done all of that, but it's different when you're doing it for yourself. And let me tell you, I started a couple of months after 9/11, and then that wasn't the worst of it. I went through SARS, and then we had a war, and then it was this and it was that, and I was hanging out there, and I'd mortgaged my house, and I'd maxed out my credit cards. And I do know that true entrepreneurs and why .coms didn't make it is because you can't go back. You got too much. You owe everybody, your parents and everybody money, and you can't go back. And we just kept going through fire until it worked out. And I think a lot of women have to take that risk. Start. It's amazing how things start showing up to support you. And don't overthink it. Just do it. I just can't say that enough.
Oh, that is so true. I heard a couple things in there, but the two things that really stood out was make a list, write it down so you visually see what it is that you need to get done, and just do it. Just take the risk and just do it. So I love that because like you said, all too often women will just, they'll just think, and then they'll stop.
Overthink, make a list. Checklists are so good because then I have a clear roadmap. I need a clear roadmap for me. And then I know when I'm on track and not. And that doesn't mean that you aren't going to waver and other things aren't, but you're going to have you need a roadmap. But start.
Right. And that's taught in the hospitality industry. That's what we do in order to get our planning, goals done. It's all within the list. Well, we have another question.
By the way, one other thing I would throw in there. Please. Don't expect to not be afraid.
Good.
Everybody's afraid when they're out there and they're not really sure. Don't expect that you're going to go into it without that.
Right. I totally agree. Absolutely. Well, we've got more questions. They're flooding in here, Marin.
Oh my goodness.
We've got one from Visibly Media. What transferable skills can women develop in order to take on more leadership roles in hospitality industry? Oh, we're going to pinpoint this. That's good.
Transferable. So I'm not exactly sure transferable in which way from the context, but I would say natural skills that women have, maybe from gender roles of growing up, of being patient, inclusive, being good delegators, listening, understanding, things that we are somewhat taught, at least in my generation, sharing. Those all transfer to great leadership. And I would augment that, if you were a tomboy like I was, being bossy, I was super bossy. I think take that with you, girl. That really helps sometimes, but you can curb that with your female skills. And again, I don't want to genderize this too terribly much, because I think good leadership, both for male and female. I went to Mills College where it was all women, and sometimes women got on a bandwagon about how 100 years of women on top and not about to roll over was the saying, and it became anti-men. I think it's very important that we're pro-women and not anti-men. So whatever skills you personally have, own them, take them. And, I study a lot. I read a lot of books. I'm doing, I've gotten into this thing because I just went to Cape Cod. I'm studying a lot about the Kennedys for some reason, because I just went there, and I listen to Audible books before I go to sleep at night. I think that you can do a lot to learn and absorb new skills and augment what you've got. I highly recommend that.
Yep. Especially if it doesn't matter if you're newly experienced or experienced. That is key, is to constantly learn.
Absolutely. I love going to seminars, and I always have, MPI, PCMA. I've learned so much. My staff used to always say, "Oh, she's come back from a seminar. There's new things coming." I would say, I don't, a shameless plug here, but we've got our Smart Woman Summit coming up, and I have personally handpicked all the speakers, and it's a well-rounded day of really meaty takeaways. Last time we weren't able to do it last year because of the pandemic, but there wasn't a dry eye from our speakers. And this year we have Jade Simmons, who was just voted one of the top speakers, and we've got Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Murray, who is amazing with her, going from the female mommy to the combat zone. And we've got Stephanie Burns on making unreasonable requests, and Rachel Sheeran on keeping your joy, because sometimes it's really easy to lose that. Allison Frangel on the power of negotiating. Everything in life, by the way, is a negotiation, especially marriage, by the way. And master your disaster. There's always going to be one. And I think if you get too lost in the drama of things, it can take you sideways. So I hope you'll consider coming and joining on my birthday, September 14th. How about that? I was an accident, but what the heck? Didn't have any plans anyway. And
that's a 2-day conference in Las Vegas.
Well, it's really one day with a gala acknowledging our smart women, and we're going to be at the all-new Resorts World in Las Vegas. That's that and the shiny penny, and we've got a big hoopla. Plus, we're going to do a lot of things to spoil our attendees with amazing swag and ideas, and we've got a lot of inspiration, and really a really, really rich day.
And where can people go to sign up for that?
You can go to smartmeetings.com under the events.
That's perfect.
Easy peasy. And click on the Smart Woman Summit and sign up. We have our early bird special, which expires at the end of this month. So you can get a good discount there. We've still got a few seats left. It is filling up. But I would love to see more women there. I love mentoring. I'm so proud of all the people that I've mentored, and so many people who are leading Amazon, who started with nothing and worked for me, and LinkedIn, who are leading there and leading at Oracle. And I've got a long trail behind me of people who have exceeded and are continue to exceed in their careers from being on my team. So I love to help and come.
And men are invited too.
Yes, absolutely.
which is great. I
We
think you
love
have
men.
a man. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's a great way to start networking, because we've been through a lot. And you mentioned that
And
you.
we're working with Twine, by the way, who's got a supersonic new way to create matches for mentoring. So that's super cool new technology. So you're with somebody that you really gel with. Kind of
Nice.
fun. Yeah.
I love that. And speaking of mentoring, you have mentored a lot of people in this industry for some time. So who is your mentor? All leaders have a mentor as well. Who is it that you actually call upon, or ask questions, or lean on, or brainstorm with? I would imagine there's someone that maybe in the industry or not.
I'm
important to
a
you.
big Brene Brown fan. I
Yeah,
love
she's
her
great.
stuff. I watch it over and over and over again. Growing up, I watched a ton of Johnny Carson, and I thought he was an amazing uh, interviewer and inclusive. So women, men. I just watched a movie. I loved Harry Chapin and his music and his movie, his documentary on his message and how far ahead of things he was. Everybody wants to matter. They want
Right.
to matter. That's what's most
Sure.
important. And Harry really did a great job of embracing that. And if you can find a way to make the people that you touch in your life matter, I think that's huge.
That's the
So
bottom
he
line.
would be a big inspiration to me. And he's far more reaching than I think. It's a shame his life got cut short, but he was pretty amazing.
Well, it's kind of nice that you have that. You look for, different areas and different people to,
Mhm.
pick up their strengths so that you can learn from. So that's brilliant as well. Definitely. Well, I know we're out of time, but I certainly want to thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us today.
Great
I
being
know
here.
people are going to want to contact you as well.
Oh,
So
please do. I love that.
how can they do that? How can people get a hold
You
of you?
can see I've got smart, there's two M's, but it's smartmeetings.com, Marin at smartmeetings.com. And also you can hashtag meetsmart. I'm always on our social media and I'm open. Please reach out.
Yeah,
Happy
because this
to.
is a conversation that could keep going on and on. So
Absolutely. We've
I'm hoping
barely
people
got
will,
going.
yeah, people will reach out to you to discuss that more and more, because there's nobody that has a passion for women than you do. And
Nobody.
that's why we so appreciate what you do in this industry to support women and bring those to the surface that can be in the leadership roles. There's nobody better that does it better than you do. And
Oh,
that's why we so appreciate you being here with us and
thank you,
sharing that
Deborah.
knowledge. And I know a lot of people are going to want to see the replays of this. So I'm
Well,
hoping.
thank you. You're an inspiration yourself. So
Thank
takes
you.
one to
Thank you.
know one.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you, Marin. Really
Thank you,
appreciate you
Deborah.
having me on board.
My
Bye.
pleasure.
Well, there you go. Did I not tell you how brilliant Marin Bright is? I mean, she is a classy, classy woman, and she is so approachable and so friendly. I can't imagine no one taking the opportunity to contact her and talk to her more about how you can advance in not only your career, but in yourself as well. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if so, please share this with anybody that you might know that would like to have this, hear this type of topic, and to also enjoy the conversation that Marin and I just had. So, and you can do that just on our LinkedIn, our YouTube, or our Facebook page. And we also want to thank our sponsor, Pickles, for this episode as well. And if you have any questions or comments or would like to be on the show yourself, please just email us, hello@hospitalitytodaylive.com. Now, you're probably wondering what's up next for next week. Well, we have Debbie Garcia with us. She is the CEO of Versator. And Debbie is going to talk about venue sourcing, and especially for post-COVID, and what that looks like for the future in the meetings and events industry, and how technology will help meetings moving forward as well. And above all, what is Versator? We're going to find out with Debbie Garcia, the CEO, next week at the same time. I'm Deborah Gardner, and thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, if you're thinking about it, we're talking about it right here on Hospitality Today Live. Have a great week, everybody.